breaking, unbelievable. Coco Gauff's 2025 season recap. Triumphs, setbacks, and epic moments. The 2025 tennis season will forever be etched in the memory of fans as the year Coco Gauff stepped fully into her destiny. Not as a rising star, not as a promising teenager, but as a force of nature who reshaped the landscape of the sport. What unfolded over these 12 adrenaline-filled months felt less like a tennis season and more like a blockbuster saga. Equal parts triumph, heartbreak, controversy, and pure, unfiltered magic. From the scorching courts of Melbourne to the roaring arenas of New York, from unexpected setbacks to unforgettable comebacks, Coco Gauff lived a season that embodied everything sport should be: emotion, courage, and a relentless pursuit of greatness. Here is a creative retelling of Coco Gauff's unbelievable 2025 journey. The fire that began in Australia. The tennis world entered 2025 with one burning question. Could Coco Gauff become the dominant force the world believed she could be? Her performances in late 2024 hinted at transformation, but no one expected what came next. Under the blinding Australian sun, Gauff arrived with a newfound calm, almost eerie in its confidence. Her team whispered about refined strategies, a sharper backhand, and a mental toughness that seemed sculpted through heartbreaking growth. Her early rounds were a blur. Precision serves, razor-sharp returns, opponents stumbling under pressure. Yet the defining moment came in the quarterfinals, where she battled through a heat wave that melted rackets, shoes, and spirits alike. Down 1-5 in the third set, with commentators already drafting her tough luck epitaph for Melbourne, Gauff unleashed a fire inside her. She mounted an unforgettable comeback, chasing down every ball like a warrior unwilling to accept defeat. Though she eventually fell short in a semifinal thriller, one thing was clear. Coco Gauff had arrived in 2025 with a mission, a spring of storms and surprises. After her electric run in Australia, expectations skyrocketed. Too much, perhaps. With pressure mounting, Gauff entered the spring hard-court swing feeling the weight of an entire nation expecting her to dominate. That was when the turbulence began. A nagging shoulder discomfort, media frenzy, and a brutal schedule resulted in a series of surprising early exits. Fans panicked. Critics sharpened their pens. Social media declared her overworked, distracted, even in decline, the typical noise thrown at young stars who dare to show human vulnerability. But Coco refused to break emotionally. Instead, she leaned into the storms, showing humility, grit, and a refusal to hide. She opened up in interviews, speaking about the mental challenges of balancing fame, expectations, and personal growth. And then came Miami. Under the neon lights of her home state tournament, Gauff rediscovered her rhythm. Not perfect, but powerful. Not flawless, but fearless. She reached the semifinals and reminded the world that greatness isn't about perfection. It's about rising when you're supposed to fall. A clay season that shocked the world. If the spring exposed her struggles, the clay season revealed her soul. Coco arrived in Europe with a quiet determination that felt different. Heavier, yet purer. She wasn't chasing headlines. She was chasing peace, purpose, and mastery. Madrid brought frustration. Rome brought heartbreak. And then came Paris. Roland Garros, the rebirth. Gauff's 2025 run at the French Open felt like poetry written in sweat and clay. The red courts embraced her movement, her intensity, her resilience. She danced on the clay like it belonged to her. Match after match, she showed layers of maturity that stunned the tennis world. Tactical brilliance replaced wild risks. Deep breathing replaced panic. Strategic aggression replaced emotional swings. By the time she reached the semifinals, Paris was chanting her name. COCO, COCO. Although she eventually lost in a Battle of the Year contender, she had once again proven that her ceiling was nowhere in sight. Paris wasn't her crown, but it became her cathedral. The grass that tested her spirit. Wimbledon 2025 will be remembered as a part of the story where Coco Gauff faced her most painful chapter. The grass season began with promise. Clean strikes, elegant movement, effortless winners. But behind the scenes, an ankle sprain haunted her preparations. Still, she pushed herself to compete. Her early rounds looked strong, but in the fourth round, disaster struck. A slip, a twist, a gasp from the crowd. Gauff collapsed momentarily, clutching her ankle, although she bravely finished the match. The injury cost her the tournament. Sports headlines screamed, Gauff's Wimbledon nightmare. But she refused to let the story end in despair. She used the setback as fuel, and thus began the chapter fans would never forget, the summer hardcourt rampage. The American summer of 2025 became a redemption tour. Rehabilitated, refocused, and reborn, Gauff returned to the U.S. with a vengeance. Washington, victory, a powerful reminder of her dominance. Toronto, a masterclass, a run defined by blistering forehands and calm under pressure. Cincinnati, a statement. Her rivalry with the top seeds turned into the most compelling storyline of the summer. With every match, the crowds grew louder, the momentum stronger, the belief deeper. She was no longer just America's sweetheart. She was America's warrior. The U.S. Open, where legends are made. The biggest high point of Coco Gauff's 2025 season unfolded in New York. New York didn't just welcome her. It worshipped her. The fans roared with every point. Her confidence glowed. Her movement flowed like electricity around Arthur Ashe Stadium. Her late-night match against a fierce rival became the stuff of folklore. Tiebreaks, mouth-drop rallies, and an intensity that made the stadium shake. In the semifinals, she stunned the world with one of the most ruthless performances of her career. The final became a dramatic, edge-of-your-seat thriller, decided by razor-thin margins. Though Gauff finished as the runner-up, she walked off the court a hero. It wasn't a trophy that made her season iconic. It was the fight. New York loved her not because she won outright, but because she refused to be anything less than herself under the brightest lights in sport. The controversy that shook the media. Just when the season seemed to be winding down, September delivered another twist. A media storm surrounding comments made by a high-profile journalist about Gauff's mental toughness. What began as a careless remark spiraled into a national debate, a legacy in motion. As the year closed, Coco reflected on her journey, on the noise, the pressure, the joy, the expectations, and the love she felt from millions. She wasn't the same athlete who began the season in Australia. She was wiser, sharper, hungrier, and she knew something the world had only begun to understand. 2025 was not the peak. It was just the beginning. Final reflection. Unbelievable is the perfect word to describe Coco Gauff's 2025 season. It had every ingredient of a classic sports epic. Triumphs that inspired millions. Setbacks that shaped her character. Controversies that revealed her strength. Epic moments that will echo through tennis history. If 2025 was a year she proved she belonged among the greats, then the future promises something even more incredible. A champion ready to take over the era. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.